Jeremy,
Hey, what's going on, Joe?
how you doing?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good.
That's
Pretty
good.
good. Having some audio difficulties, a minute late. Apologize.
It's all right, man. No worries at all.
Yeah, yeah. So, how things going with business?
Man, good. Just actually been a fairly busy January, so that's a good thing. You know, Probably about 20% busier than I was expecting, so no complaints there. And yeah, man, good start to the year so far. How about y'all?
Yeah, super busy, super busy. We had a really good week last week. Really, really good. Kind of unexpected. Didn't have any like big accounts receivable come in or anything like that. Just real solid sales week.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
Y'all use outside sales folks or no? Or man, I've probably asked you. I don't want to, you know, dive too much into stuff and go on to share some. I tend to
Yeah.
just ask what's on the top of my head, man. So you
Dude,
can
I'm
tell
an
me
I'm
what
an
you got
open
in there.
I'm an open book. I'm an
All right,
open
man.
book. Ask me anything. Yeah.
So do y'all use outside sales, non-attorneys, or
So we have no outside sales.
okay,
But everyone's in-house. We have two attorneys who do consults and then two non-attorney salespeople. And
okay,
I'm looking for another one now. Um, yeah, everyone in our office except for Stephanie now that does consults also does production work.
okay,
So we're moving, towards a more traditional business model where, we separate the two out. We have salespeople just doing sales and production just doing production. Um, yeah, that's where we're at with it.
it
It's
probably makes a
taken,
little bit more sense, man. I mean, you have attorneys that enjoy the paperwork side of stuff, and you have attorneys that enjoy the personal interaction. It's kind of rare, at least in my experience, to find one that truly enjoys both, and they're usually much better at one than they are the other as well, too.
yeah,
So that kind of makes a lot more sense. I like the idea that y'all actually run your business like a business, not a, you know, I'm a lawyer and happen to have a business. I don't recognize it's a business.
yeah, right.
Most of them out there do. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, most of them do, right? It's like that's really, um, it just stifles growth. It really stifles growth, and especially with the consultations, with the sales end of it. Like Ashley, my wife, she's really good at both. Um, but it fucks her up. It's like doing, doing them
Yeah.
all doing it all day. It's like, and we jam pack her consult calendar. Like she's all day doing consults, but then she's also um, managing the legal side.
Hmm.
Uh yeah, we had Stephanie, we hired her as our COO, so she was really overseeing production.
Yeah.
But then she started doing consults as well for probate. Probate's really easy because you don't really need to get into legal advice and all that. It's like gather the information. Okay, you need a summary, you need a formal, and this is what we charge,
Yeah.
right? Um, so she was doing like consults half the day, COO posts the other half of the day, and she she's better at sales than she is at COO
Okay.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. She's good at both. She's good at being a COO, but when I look at like business growth, it's like, all right, sales comes first. Marketing and sales, it's like if you don't have that, you don't have any legal work to do.
Well, and that's
Um,
the other one. Most people don't understand the difference between marketing and sales either. So that's a
right.
huge one I've come across as well too. So
Yeah, marketing comes before sales.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
most people interchange those terms, and to me, it's kind of a pet peeve I have. I'm like, no, they're not interchangeable. Like,
They're not.
marketing is let people know who you are, what you do. Sales is bring them in. Now they're a client or a customer, whatever industry you may be in. But it's completely different things. And you need someone might be great at marketing and they just suck at sales, or someone is a great closer, they're great at sales, but if no one knows about them, it's pointless. So
That's 100% true. 100% true. Yeah. Our sales guys, yeah, they don't know a damn thing about marketing. Like, yeah, they don't know anything about that. Yeah, I have, yeah, that's handled totally separately. So yeah, we decided at the beginning of the year to move Stephanie completely over into she's posted as our like sales manager basically. We actually haven't given her an official title yet, but uh, she's essentially in charge of revenue, right?
Okay.
She oversees, the intake girls. She's drilling with them every day. The consultants, she's drilling with them. Um, yeah, but we're gonna build up a big team, a big sales team,
Nice,
and
man. And y'all
yeah,
in North Carolina somewhere, right? If I remember right?
we're in Florida.
Florida. Man, why
Yep,
was I thinking North Carolina for some reason?
that's kind of similar, right?
Where in Florida y'all at?
Clearwater, near Tampa.
You're Tampa, yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. All right. Well, good deal.
Yeah. Where are you?
I'm in Texas. I'm just west of Fort Worth, next county west of Fort Worth, Parker County, Aledo. Um, man, a little more popular these days. If you watch that TV show Landman, they talk about Aledo all the time now. It's one of those Taylor Sheridan shows, the guy that produced Yellowstone. So
Oh.
they filmed that a bunch of that out here. And now you get. I've got friends in New York like, hey man, don't you live in that Aledo town? I was watching that on TV. Is that where you're at? I'm like, yep, that's us, man. So
You see them filming?
yeah, man, they've filmed around here. I mean, gym I work out at. They also filmed Lioness around here too, another TV show. So you'll see celebrities coming in and out of the gym. But and it's we're still at. I think we're the sixth fastest growing county in the U.S. right now, but still a pretty small town feel. So no one's. I mean, you see celebrities at the gym. No one's going up and asking for autographs or any of that other nonsense. And so still kind of a small town feel. Again, Fort Worth. I can be downtown Fort Worth in 20 minutes, so um, close enough. But yeah, kind of like it out here. Been out here about 3.5 years now, I guess.
All right. From where?
From basically a suburb of Fort Worth. I was kind of right between Dallas and Fort Worth and Mansfield. Um, lived there for 13 years. Then, man, married kid, just yard got too small, town got too big. Started looking around on a map and started to build right before COVID. So that was fun. Just supply shortages. A 1 year build took 2 years, and moved my practice out here and all that. So, but so far so
Nice.
good, man. Um, yeah.
How was COVID for you guys there?
It was Texas, man. So it was very short lived. Like I said, I've
Yeah.
got friends in New York. Um, Talking with them, it's like, man, you're on a different planet. Like even like 2 years later, there were still restrictions. I'm like, when it first came out, 10%, 15% of the world population is going to die. I'm like, well, all right, maybe I'll take it serious. 2, 3 weeks in, it's like, well, that's not happening, and yeah, like you go to the grocery store, you know, no masks. I mean, especially out here, I remember like no one cared. Like, you know,
That was the same here. That
yeah.
was
I
the
mean,
same here.
Florida and Texas, I think we're very similar in that regard. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. We were just out in California. Well, we were in California. I was out there for 17 years
Okay.
and in the Monterey Bay Area.
Pretty area.
Um, yeah, gorgeous. Oh, such a pretty area. Um, and we moved to Florida July 2019. So
Okay.
right before Ashley started studying for the bar in November. And the day that she took the bar exam, March 13th, it was, and of 2020, we had a a flight to go back to California for 10 days to visit friends. And got on the flight, there was 5 people on the plane. Like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And so we get out there, and it just starts to go crazy. It
Hmm.
starts to go crazy, and we're out there for 4 days. I remember the third day they started talking about they didn't want people on the beaches, and we're like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like not on the beaches?"
Yeah.
And then then I got real nervous that they were going to cancel flights. Or they were going to stop the airlines.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, well, we could just drive back. And then I was like, well, what if they shut down the hotels,
Hmm.
right? And then my wife would kill me if we're sleeping in the car, right, in the middle of
Yeah.
fucking
And
New
we're not
York
in our
at night.
20s anymore. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Right, right, right. She would be, dude, she would be so mad. So we left after 4 days. We turned around and got home, and yeah, my daughter's school was closed for 2 weeks. That was it. She was right back at it. No masks at the school. Um, but we were just out in California last weekend for a memorial super short trip. Man, people wearing masks and stuff out there still. It's wild.
It's just man, to me it's a mindset, you want to I just almost feel bad truly for people like that you're living your life in fear. It almost
Yeah,
makes you wonder what I mean, how do you live the rest of your life?
yeah.
Um,
Because those
some
things don't
older
work any.
examples I could
They don't
use.
work. They don't
What's
work
that?
anyway. The masks don't work anyway.
No, no,
It's
not at
been
all.
yeah. They've already proven that they don't
Yeah,
work.
it's I don't know, man. Teach their own. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, I don't give a damn. Just don't expect me to, join into your fantasy land. So,
Yeah. Well, it's also, but at the same time, right? Like in New York and some of these bigger cities, it's turned into a problem with people wearing masks and going in and robbing stores, right?
yep. Good luck
You
with
know,
facial recognition. Yeah,
right, right. So it's a little bit like, why the fuck you wearing a mask, dude? Right? You about to do something?
yeah. I mean, I will say down here you would attract a lot of attention.
Hmm.
The ones I actually feel bad for is if you have someone who's immunocompromised or maybe they're going through cancer or something like that. Now they're getting looks where you actually have a legit reason to have this on, but man,
Yeah,
is what it is, I guess.
yeah. We had a party, a Christmas party at our house, and we had it. We had a chef come, make the dinner and everything, and he had an assistant. And all my friends here, they're not pro mask by any means. They're like the opposite. Anyway, this guy, he's probably in his 70s, the assistant, and he shows up with a mask and he's wearing a mask. And I was like, as he showed up, I went to the bathroom into my bathroom and saw my wife and said, "Hey, this guy's wearing a mask." And she's like, "God damn it." She's like, "What the fuck's he doing that for?" And I was like, "What do we do?" And she's like, "Well, should we tell him to take it off?" And I was like, what if he is immunocompromised, and
Yeah.
then I'm this asshole. So luckily, yeah, no one said anything to him, but we have some brash friends who I wouldn't, I was
Let's
like,
go honest. Just very, very
r-
frontal friends. Yes,
very,
some of those too.
yeah, yeah. But it was fine. It was fine. Um, so when did you start up the business?
Which one? You mean the law firm or just
Yeah,
the?
yeah.
Okay, so
Or
I
you,
guess I come from a diverse background, man. So I started life as a litigation attorney, practiced litigation for about a decade, and then caught the unintentionally caught the entrepreneurial bug, I should say. Um, one night around the dinner table, wife said, "Hey, we could definitely use a pediatric specific urgent care in the town we were in." I'm like, "Yeah, that's interesting idea." This was 15 years ago, I guess, where kind of still a new concept. Um, she's a pediatrician, so she was seeing her kids get mismanaged in adult urgent care. So I'm like, that's interesting. Fast forward a year, we had paid a consultant out of Virginia who'd opened a couple pediatric urgent cares over there. It was supposed to be a turnkey deal. Um, that was my first experience when I found that a lot of consultants are people you will pay to make mistakes you would have made yourself. So it was very much open the doors. Pro forma was completely wrong on the number of patients we're going to see. I think he had us estimated it at like 30, 35 patients by the third month. And I think we're more at like 5 to 6 patients a day. Um, Man, needless to say, just blowing through working capital, completely overstaffed. I had two full-time providers. Old school marketing. They had us in like print marketing, I think. So,
ugh.
I'm just kind of sitting there watching, working capital just plummet. Then I'm like stroking paychecks out of my savings. I'm like, oh, this is a hell of an investment. We taken an SBA, signed on to it personally. I'm like, well, I guess I kind of need to, wind down the practice law and figure out how the hell to run a healthcare company, which was completely different. I mean, litigation, a lot, bunch of, is litigation boutique, bunch of, type A personalities, F bombs up and down the hallway. And then, welcome to pediatrics, touchy, lovey, feely, all women. And I'm like, okay. Um, First year, I think we still were 300 something in the hole. But kind of came in, changed our EMR system, changed marketing, hours, staffing, kind of the whole nine. Renegotiated leases, renegotiated reimbursement contracts with insurance companies. Um, Second year we were in the red some, and after the second year we were in the black. So grew it. was in the process of scaling it. And we were approached by um, two different companies interested in coming to the markets we were at. Didn't want to come there while we were there, so not really for sale, but kind of ignored it initially. Um, it was interesting too. We were approached at the same time, or pretty close in time.
Two
Uh,
two
two
separate
separate
companies.
groups. Yeah, one was venture backed, and the other was private equity backed. Weighed both deals. I didn't nothing against him. Um, just didn't think the match was going to be great for the one CEO, and there was a they wanted me to stay on. There was an earnout and stuff like that. The other was pure cash deal. Uh, that one made more sense. So went with that. I did have 6 month transition period or something I was staying on, and COVID hit. So I'm like, all right, then things went virtual, so I stayed on a little bit longer. Um, but during that time, so I guess that was business one.
Did you end up making money on it?
We did.
Nice.
Did well. So that
Did
was
you?
what's that?
You did well on it.
Did well. Yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of sink or swim. A lot of people, will ask you, how do you? Well, you probably know this. Run a business, whatever. I'm like, look, the biggest thing you can do if you want to be successful at anything is take quitting off the table.
Yeah.
Which and it's a human instinct. Like when things get harder, things are uncomfortable. You're like, I'm done. I just want to quit. Well, I'd signed on to an SBA loan, so all right, quitting's off the table. Like, what do I have to do to succeed, to win? And I mean, the mind is a huge, powerful tool if you just get out of its way, right? Take quitting off the table. Okay, I can't quit. How do I solve this? So, and a year after we opened the local children's hospital that I'm not a fan of, decided that they were going to come open a pediatric urgent care less than a mile down the road from me on the same damn road. So I called them like, hey, y'all are a nonprofit. I'm just kind of curious, what community need do you guys think you're meeting? Like we're kind of playing in the same sandbox. I have plans to expand. I don't mind sharing those with you. So we're just not, you know, overlapping each other. And they kind of told me, hey, here you go. I'm like, okay, no problem. I couldn't compete with them on budget, obviously. So I'm like, look, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. So we just kind of killed them with customer service. I'm a big fan of like thinking outside the box. So like we did, came up with a position called curbside nannies, where in a business, if you're the owner CEO, like there's no job above you, but there's no job below you. So like I'd get there early, and I had a rule like you got to come in the front door at least once a week, so you experience what our customers see. And that was my view. Like we had customers, unless they're in an exam room with the door closed with a provider, then they're a patient. Other than that, they're your customer, and you treat them as such. So, one of the things I noticed is it's usually a mom bringing a sick kid in, like one or two others in tow, trying to like get IDs out, insurance paperwork. I'm like, it's a cluster. What can we do to make it better? Like, why don't we have a nanny? Like, so we did. We got like aprons. We hired college aged girls, embroidered with our logo. They go out, they open the car door. It's raining. There's an umbrella. Came in. They had like our branded coloring pages, all of that. So that's whatever business you're in, you don't get credit for doing what's expected. Like you know, providing good estate planning, providing, good medicine in an urgent care environment. Like you get credit for doing what do you do that's different? What do you do that goes above and beyond? Kind of that wow factor, people call it. But most of the time, it doesn't cost a fortune.
Right.
Something I do in the estate planning area is my clients have my personal cell phone number. When I tell people that, they're like, why would you ever do that?
Yeah, Ashley does that.
I'm like, well, look at it this way. Every roofing company and car warranty company already has my damn cell phone number. So why don't I just give it to my clients who never use it, or if they do, it's quite appropriate. Um, but it kind of forms that connection that like, oh, I can text you on a Saturday. I'm like, yeah, text me on a Saturday. I might be busy at something with family or kids, but I'll get back to you if I can. But I know you need something, and I've never once had it abused. I've had a
Yeah.
couple clients for they confuse that's the office number, cell phone number, but whatever. Um, but no, so like, what do you do that sets yourself apart? I think, and so anyway, it's the first business. I During COVID, I bought a commercial landscape company, sold that last year. Part of a joint venture tech company. Yeah, so anyway, kind of caught the entrepreneurial bug. So with the estate
I'd
planning
say.
firm, kind of, I sold the landscape company last year. Like I said, just truly wanted to focus in on estate planning. With litigation, I I enjoyed and sometimes miss just that competitiveness of it. That let's F and go. Let's see who wins. Like winner take all. I do enjoy that. And I'm a big fan of stepping outside your comfort zone in anything you do. That's how you grow. But at the end of the day, if I won or if the other side won, really all it's doing is money's changing hands between insurance companies. Like you didn't really accomplish much.
Yeah.
I will say, like, even when we were losing money at the pediatric urgent care, at the end of the day, I'm helping a sick kid feel better. And in estate planning, I guess my first taste of estate planning is, I became a dad and then shortly after lost my dad unexpectedly.
Mm.
And I was like, married, attorney, all that, successful in most people's eyes. I'm like, wow, now that I'm a dad, actually, there's a lot I wish I would have been able to ask him about, just basics of being a dad, or, even family history stuff. So, that's kind of what I focus with on my clients. And again, you don't get credit for what's doing expected. I'm like, hey, I start all of my consults with, I just want to get to know you. Like, we're going to work backwards into the paperwork that works, whether it's a will-based plan, trust-based plan. We'll get to that, but there's two big questions I usually want to know from my clients when I first meet them. It's, okay, what prompted you to call us? What are your goals and what are your concerns? Like, let's just kind of flesh both of those out now. Let me learn about you and your family dynamics. You know, as you well know, most people look great on the outside, but as soon as you kind of open that veil, like, families are a mess. So let's figure out what's going on. What's keeping you up at night, and what do you want to have happen when you're gone? Okay, great. Then work backwards in the paperwork. But I'm like, hey, look, that's nice. We've got your assets taken care of, but let's work on more. Like, pass along, your insights, your values, struggles you've had, advice you have for your family, your kids and your spouse if you go before your spouse. Um, and as you know, part of it's even getting people financially organized. Good example I use is like, hey, if something happens to both of y'all today, one of your siblings walks into your house, do they know, who do you bank with? Do you have a life insurance policy? What company is that with? Do you have investments? Is it a 401k? Is it an IRA? Where are those at? Do you have other insurance policies? Do you have other annuities? Do you have other rental property? Do they know? And if they know, do they know how to access it? Do they have legal documents to do so? Everly, people are like, I don't even know where everything is. Like, my
Yeah.
spouse does it all. So no, I'm like, okay, if y'all can't find stuff, no one else is going to be able to. So I mean, that's kind of the conversations I have. And then when it comes to the extra, I'm like, look, you can write letters. People want to do letters. People want to do audio recordings. People want to do video recordings. We do any of the above. But I always kind of try to take it a step further. And I'm like, yeah, everyone always, their mind will go toward, graduations, weddings, big moments in life. I'm like, yes, please address those, but truly in life gets hard, as I'm sure for everybody at one point or another. I'm like, when life gets hard, and if you're not here, that's truly when your kids are going to wish you were here, or at the very least, leave advice for them. Whether it's financial hardship, it's a divorce, it's moving across the country, it's the loss of a job. Leave some advice and insight for that. And I tell my clients, I'm like, look, I can't do that for you, but I'm certainly going to push you to do it. I'm going to enable you as much as I can to include that part in your estate plan too.
Yeah, I saw this guy, he's selling a book that's, it's like a fill-in book, right? It's a
Yeah, so we send some of those out to clients actually too. The clients that are like, well, do you have preset questions? Like, I do. Or there's actually, I found one, Uncommon Goods, I think actually has the best one I've come across. Different companies will compile them. Yeah, we'll send it out. At the end, we usually wait a week because we send fiduciary letters to people. About a week after that, you get a book. We usually include a note card with it, like, "Hey, thanks for entrusting us with your plan," and we also ask for a Google review and all that. And here's the book to put stuff in. So yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
I'm big on systems and processes. So I guess that's taking that business background. That's the approach I take to running a law firm. And it doesn't really matter what industry I'm in. I'm kind of in the customer service business. Just what industry am I in? But I'm going to run it like a business. My product just happens to be estate planning right now. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Man, we went
Um,
off on a tangent on that. Sorry, but just, I
uh,
mean, I enjoy what I do, and I mean that's kind of my background.
yeah, yeah,
That's
dude,
me.
that's what I wanna know, for sure. Yeah, we should do that. We don't do it now, getting that what we were just discussing in writing or video or whatever. Yeah, I saw that guy's book on an ad on Facebook not long ago, and I was like, "Oh, shit, we need to do something like that," and then it just kinda got pushed aside. So,
Like I said, man, I'd like to. Usually, I don't know who watches your podcast or not, but to
me
me,
neither.
yeah, the psychological aspect. So if you receive a gift from somebody that's unexpected, right? and it's actually it's pertinent to what they've done for you. And then you're also, hey, would you mind writing a review? Because that's one of the things we have a hard time doing. Like, even though I've done friends estate plans, I'm like, hey man, would y'all mind writing a review? Email them. Like, people just don't get around to it. But when it's, here's a gift, I just scan this with my phone, do it, done. Again, just kind of, I'm big on A B and things, like what works best for us, everything from an intake process to marketing to sales to, the customer experience. That's kind of, I
Yep.
guess, what I really try to focus in on the most is, you have the curse of knowledge in a way when you're inside the business. So you have to kind of take a step back. And at least to me, I probably learned this through that pediatric urgent care. I'm like, okay, what does my ideal client look like? Like, so back then it was, usually a mom, because again, it was moms that make healthcare decisions. Um, she's in her 30s or 40s, has kids. So I kind of came up with like an idea in my mind. What's that person look like? And they, to me, they shopped at Super Target. So man, I would actually go in. Target has those red benches, and I'd sit there. And maybe I look like a creeper, but I'd kind of like watch. What do they do? What do they buy? How do they act? What are they doing? What are they wearing? Like, then think, what kind of TV shows do they watch? Like, build that person in your mind, and then look at your business through that lens. What are
Yeah.
the sticking points? I'm a big fan of remove friction at every stage you can. Like, create a funnel, remove friction. So what is this person going to have sticking points with? So me, I've been told that, I sometimes come across, now granted working in healthcare changed me some, too aggressive, too forward. I got the same barber you do. Apparently, you have a shaved head. That's intimidating to some people or something like that. So a lot of our stuff, like I use marketing materials with my daughter, and they're like, yes, I can identify with that. It softens your image. Big on kind of like, pick three things that describe you in a business. So, I'm a estate planning attorney, I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a dad. Like, there's my three things. And then, what do you do, or what are your three, key adjectives? Personable, dedicated, and engaged. Like, those are the three things, I want to have be our brand for the firm. And you kind of need to project that yourself, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. We've those things that you just kind of said, the traits, right? Personable. That's how we came up with the non-stuffy attorney brand. Um, yeah, I read hundreds, if not 1,000 Google reviews to see what the public wanted, because I planned to do it in person, right? From a marketing background, surveys are super important,
Hmm.
right? That's essentially what you're doing when you sit at the Target, right? And you're watching people.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
100%.
you're It's a survey, right? You're
Yeah.
finding out what they like and dislike. Uh, so I went and read Google reviews, right? I probably read 1,000 Google reviews, 5-star and 1 stars,
Yeah.
and just kept check tally marks over what the common themes were. And the overwhelming majority was that the attorney was knowledgeable, right? They were competent, they knew what they were doing. The next one was that they communicated, right? They returned communication quickly, they answered the phone, right?
Yep.
Which apparently doesn't happen that often.
But those two things, I don't, to me, that's low hanging fruit. Like, you should be knowledgeable. You don't get credit for that. You should communicate with your damn clients. If there are
And,
firms out there that aren't doing either one of those, that's not my competition. Like, fine.
yeah,
If you're not knowledgeable, we're not in the same league. If you don't return a phone call, not in the same league. So that's,
not only not return a phone call, not answer the phone. Like,
especially
a
the
lo-
day of virtual receptions. If you need that, do that. I mean, it's, yeah.
yeah,
But
yeah,
again, most attorneys never take a single business course in college or in law school. Same with doctors. When you look at medical practices, um,
yeah, yeah. They're big offenders.
yeah,
Dentists, doctors. Yep, yep.
dentists. I will say the one group that has it right are orthodontists. Which,
Mm,
when I moved out here, I tried to think of who targets and markets to the same group I would want to, and this probably would apply to y'all too. To orthodontists, they have, because I like to, my ideal client is 30 to 50 something, high single household income, or, dual household income, kids either at home or in college. That's kind of, what I've done is at the end of last year, I said, who are my top five clients? Ideal clients, kind of, and then, obviously, what are my five least favorite type of clients? Here's what the top five, what do these qualities have? And that's who I'm going to go after in 2025. But who also goes after that? And it's orthodontist. So people that take their kid to an orthodontist, they have insurance, they have enough income that they can afford it. They've got kids at home, obviously. Um, They're usually more proactive. It's a proactive step to take you to the orthodontist. They are responsible, which is what you kind of need for estate planning. So I called the big orthodontist place here in town. I'm like, hey, I'm just giving. This is what I do. I'm curious. I like what you do. I see what you do around town. Could I take your marketing person to lunch and just get to know them? I pick y'all's brain. So I guess I'm not exactly shy when it comes to stuff. Like
That's good. Me
I'm happy
neither.
to say I don't know something if I don't know something. Like I'd rather learn from someone who's done it than I've paid the stupid tax enough in other ventures. I don't need to continue to do it. I'd
Yep.
rather just reach out, and be like, hey, here's me. Like when we were building the urgent care, had my team. I'm like, we did random acts of kindness, like once a week. Grab some cookies or cupcakes, grab some swag, pens, mugs, whatever. Go to a local business, give it to them. Just tell them to have a great day. Ask them to take their picture, put it on our social media, tag them. Now it gets them. So again, it just kind of builds on that. But again, it doesn't cost anything. And it's just marketing. It's just getting your name out there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Um, do you end up taking the marketing person to lunch?
Not lunch. She sat through like a 2-hour Zoom call with me and was just like
Wow.
sharing her screen and going through stuff and had great ideas and was kind of auditing through what we were and weren't doing. Um, Challenged me to donate. Town Warren has a lot of town pride. Our football team didn't do as well this year, but I think for the last 14 years has won state 12 of the last 14 years.
Wow.
Um, so there's a education foundation. So like get involved in that. They have a big our mascot's Bearcats, so in the spring it's Boots and Bearcats, like live auctions, silent auctions, like donate an estate plan, like get involved in that. So I'm like, they're like, we donate an entire like 2 orthodontic treatments, like total all in. I'm like, okay, so doing that this year. So again, just kind of learn from other industries that where you kind of overlap, that y'all are after, kind of swimming in the same pool and nowhere near competitors. So
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting.
yeah, so check out
Um,
orthodontists out there in Clearwater, man. I mean, that might be you know again, y'all are after the same people. So
well, yeah, it's funny you say that because accidentally I kind of did. Now
man,
that
I'd rather be lucky than good, dude. Yeah, all
yeah,
day long.
now that we're talking about it, so I worked for Postcard Mania. They do postcard marketing. Um,
Okay.
I worked for them for about a year, right before Ashley got licensed. So I worked for them from, I guess, January of 2020 until December of 2020. Um, I was a sales rep for them.
Okay.
Big company here. They have 350 employees. Started out of her garage back in 1999.
Dude, awesome. I
Um,
love stories like that, man. That's
love it.
awesome.
Dude,
Yeah.
she's the woman who owns the company, Joy. Good friends with her. She's fucking amazing. She's so yeah. We've had numerous conversations since I left there, and just give me all kinds of business advice and just
Nice.
super helpful. But so I was going to be an executive there, but Joy was like, "Hey, you need to learn the business first. So the best way to do it is be a sales rep for about a year."
Yeah.
And so that's what I did, and I noticed that the biggest clients that they had were dentists and orthodontists. Dentists and orthodontists. They had tremendous amounts of success with direct mail.
Okay.
Tremendous.
Hmm.
And they would offer like you know, $50 teeth cleaning or some shit like that, right? Some offer
Bring
on
them
their
in the
postcard.
door. Yeah.
Then they get them in the door and then
Awesome.
they love them and they stay around, right? Um And uh, so in August of 2020, while I was still working for Postcard Mania, we started sending out postcards for the law firm. Right, it was
Okay.
just Ashley at the house. We were marketing to businesses, and which is a lot harder that to market to because you got gatekeepers, businesses move, right? You don't really know how the business is doing,
Yeah.
right? Like, do they really need contracts drafted or anything like that? But we got response from it, enough for us, enough to push the stats up and push the revenue up. And it was about a year later that we started doing estate planning, and that was just like lights out difference. with the postcards, because you can market with postcards. You can hit the exact demographic that you want, right? You can
What's y'all's conversion rate on those then, man?
conversion rate. I'm not. I'd have to look. Our ROI on it's about 300%.
Really?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
incredible. We
Okay.
we mail 50,000. We just cut it back from 60,000 down to 50,000 just because we had some funky stuff with our list. But we're sending 50,000 out a month right now. Yeah,
But
hun-
300%, that's more than money's out. I mean, I'd actually be increasing it then. I mean, so to me, and this is what I tell, we get, I'm sure like y'all, hey, we do SEO, we do your marketing, whatever. I'm like, look, I don't care what you charge me. I'm like, I'm not going to spend a dollar to make a dollar. I
yeah,
will spend a dollar to make five or 10. So if you tell me spend $1,000 to make you five, okay. Spend 10,000, I'll make you 50. Okay. Spend 100,000, I'll make you 500. I don't, as long as the math
I don't
works,
give a shit what it
I don't
is.
give a shit what the cost is, but you need to prove to me that the math is going to work before
Yeah.
I did. So yeah, like 300, man, I take from 50, I'd be doubling that,
Yes. Yeah. So we started out mailing 6,000 a month, right?
Okay.
And then as
You've
revenue,
already ramped that. I got you.
yeah, yeah, we're up there. We're up there. We only do it in our county. We only mail to our county. Are we gonna like? We haven't had much success getting estate plans outside of our county. Um, I don't know if that's maybe like a fault on ours. Maybe we can. We market we market probate and Medicaid planning through the whole state.
Okay.
Uh, but with postcard or with estate planning, we've only marketed locally. A lot of people want to come into the office, do the signings, all of that.
Do y'all have
But
referral partners in place, maybe, or is that something that might work? I will say, estate plan attorneys are shit on paying referrals. Like when you're in
mhm,
litigation, like it was absolutely they would make go to the ends of the earth to make sure you got a referral. Like had to remind people like numerous times. So where I'm west of Fort Worth. Um, I absolutely service Fort Worth, some of Dallas. It's not my favorite thing, um, because I can sit in traffic for a flipping hour.
right, right,
So I've reached out. I'm like, okay, hey, you practice how I practice. I'll refer my Dallas clients to you. Quite frankly, you don't want to come all the way out to me either. So, man, I think you and I are in some of the same groups. I think on Facebook, where I've even
yeah,
posted. I'm like, hey, they're Texas specific groups. I'm like, where do y'all practice at?
mhm,
Because I do get, it's if I've taken care of an estate plan for like a younger couple, then they're like, mom or dad are down in Austin and they need a estate plan, or they're over in Dallas, or they're in North Dallas, or something like that, or they're in Rockwall. Um, I think estate planners in general, attorneys and firms need to do a much better job of paying referrals. So with y'all have the marketing down. If you're
yeah,
getting leads in, and if y'all could just stamp that out in the next county over, get leads in, farm those out to people that are, so you can drive 5 minutes, be seen by an attorney in person. You're not getting the full fee, but if you're getting a third of it, and it's still money out for you, like that, we do a poor
yeah,
job on that as estate planning attorneys. Everyone operates in a little bubble, and I think it's stupid.
yeah. I wonder if the ROI would be worth it though. Um, I'd have to look at the numbers. Well, I've thought about opening offices in other areas just for that reason, right? We look down in Naples, um, but opening up other offices, man, it's like it's very overwhelming thinking about doing something like that. Where
Well, you
everyone
make
here's,
a $50,000 mistake at one office, it's 50,000. You've got three, now it's $150,000 mistake. I mean, that was one of the things I learned the hard way. Like, some people want to scale just to scale. Like, no, like, and that was even when we had the urgent care. Like, as soon as we're in the black, like, oh, you can open new locations, this and that. I'm like, hell no. Like, not until I know, like, one, I need to be absolutely replaceable. Like, I need to be able to leave town for a month, come back. This runs the exact same way it did when I left. But secondly, like, perfect the model before you go to stand it out,
yeah,
or you're
yeah,
just going to create the world's biggest headache. And I think that's why a lot of companies fail. They try to grow too fast before they have their model down.
yeah, and we don't have it 100% down, right? Like we can't leave for a month right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no way. We
To
were,
be fair, neither can I, man. I'm the only attorney here, so yeah, that's not going to work too well.
yeah, yeah. We're doing a pretty good job of getting our systems documented. We got a lot of policies and procedures in writing. But as far as us leaving right now, no. We're getting close.
That's good.
Yeah, we're getting close. Especially, with the sales team that we're building. That'll help out a lot. That'll help out a lot. Um,
And do you think, just speaking of growth, do you think there's a market? Because I've thought about this before, where Texas is huge geographically, right? Everybody, I try not to. I rank surprisingly, I rank fairly high for estate planning attorneys in Fort Worth, even though I don't market for that or anything, just basic Google searches, and I do get
yeah,
phone calls there. But what I've considered, there's kind of these outlying towns that may have one estate planning attorney, but they also do family law, they do criminal law, stuff like that. I almost wonder if there is a market for purely online estate planning that's effective, efficient, and convenient for families in their 30s that they don't live in a big city. And probably most of these are going to be will-based plans, if I had to guess. But if you could come up with a something that's above the legal Zoom level, but below the full-on attorney level, almost if you could sell a package. Hey, you're going to fill most of this out with man, use man, what is it, Loom or something like that, I think, where you can kind of walk people through,
yep,
hey, here's how you're filling out this document. Here's what that means. Click here for more information, kind of deal. But then have it reviewed by an attorney. Then you use Notary Pen or one of those where notary shows up, two witnesses. You could view it via Zoom to make sure they're signing the right spots. I don't know. I just wonder if there's a market for that, so you don't have the physical presence there, but you're licensed in the state. You can operate anywhere in the state. So, man, I could just market that out in West Texas, where I have no desire to drive 10 hours to get there. But if I'm kind of curious. It's something I've just thought about and wondered, like, hey, is there or those rural parts of Florida, man? I mean, there's a lot of rednecks in Florida, dude. Like,
yeah.
outside the coast, like you start heading up to the center and over there towards the Panhandle, man. Like, there's these small towns. I mean, there's people there that do need wills. Maybe some need trust, but that's to me, it's low hanging fruit. You're not competing
Well,
with anybody there.
we're about to find out real soon.
Oh, you
Um,
okay? Okay, man. All right, man. Like I said, dude, if I start talking about some shit you don't want to share, be like, no, man.
oh no, no, I'm an open book. Seriously, I'll talk about anything.
Well,
Um,
likewise, man. As you can tell.
yeah. Uh, so spoke with a couple attorneys, a guy out in California, a guy up in North Carolina, both killing it. And they also have this similar idea, or the one guy in North Carolina actually has this already. It's a separate company, right? A separate law firm
Okay.
that is like a sister company to the main one. Um,
Paul, you can
yeah,
yeah,
Paul.
yeah.
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
Bright guy, very bright guy.
Super intelligent. Spoke with him yesterday for about 45 minutes on some stuff. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great guy. Super open book. But yeah, we're gonna do essentially the same thing where they're selling, where we're gonna sell, you know, legal services, the estate plans and whatever, for lesser amounts. It's not going to be the white glove treatment that At Cause Law Office gives.
Yeah.
It'll be all virtual, right? If they want a notary, we'll hook them up with them. It'll be an extra fee.
Hmm.
But yeah, we get so many leads that come in, and the ones that aren't really financially qualified, we're not even booking them for a consult with us. We're essentially, the intake people are telling them what our fees are, and it's like, hey, you still want a consult? And they're like, I don't think so. Um,
I mean, so we've done that a little bit this year. Is somewhat tried to price ourselves out of doing wills, I guess.
yeah,
Where and again, man, I'm big on
we don't really do many wills.
yeah, like how much do I? And not that it's all about money, but like how much do I make per minute? That's what I've kind of tried to break myself down to. What's my most profitable minute? And is it how many minutes do I spend on a will plan? How many minutes do I spend on a trust plan? How much time? And quite frankly, I was finding will-based clients were taking more of my time than my trust-based clients. So again,
Yeah,
if you don't measure anything, you're never going to know this stuff. So again, it's
right.
just I've learned it the hard way. Yes, you absolutely need to measure. You need to have KPIs and stuff like it, so you know where to direct your focus. And everyone's always like, "Oh, hire people that are smarter than you." I'm like, "Well, that's pretty much damn near everybody." Um, so I've taken a different approach. Like I hire people that are good at things I'm not good at, or like to do the things I don't like to do, like payroll. Could
Mhm.
I stumble through payroll? Yep, I'm probably gonna take 2 beers and half a damn day, and I'd be pissed off and frustrated because I can't figure out the damn forms. So I outsource it. But ideally, by getting rid of the stuff you're not good at or you don't like to do, you should free yourself up to do things you like to do and you're actually good at. So I mean, that's to me, that's how you build and you scale. Like, figure out you don't have to do everything. Like, outsource what you can outsource. Like, we outsource drafting. Can I
Yeah.
draft stuff? I can. I have. It takes me forever, and I don't really like it. Like, give
Yeah.
me the 90% complete document. I'm going to go through and I'll change this, change that. But me pecking away at a keyboard is a horrible use of my time.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm
there's people that love to do it.
Yeah, no, there's people that love to do that. Like me, I'm more of the like I'm big on doing community education events. And again, I try to get creative with that. So I think next month we're going to try a trampolines and trusts event. And again, put myself in my client's shoes. My clients have kids. If you're going to come to an event, I have like a wine and wills or tequila and trust or something like that. You got to get a sitter. Well,
Yeah.
how about I provide the sitter? Like, we have urban era. Do y'all have those like trampoline parks?
Yeah, we had trampoline
Yeah.
parks, yeah.
So, they do birthdays there. And I'm like, huh, well, they got these private rooms. So I approached them like, can I rent a private room for my law firm? And they're like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like, no, you're not gonna have lawyers jumping on shit. Like, I'll be a lawyer, I want to present, but like, I'm gonna pay for the kids to hop around, built-in babysitter. Y'all come learn about estate planning. So again, just try to think
Genius.
outside the box on stuff like that. But I enjoy that interaction. Um, Try not to kill people with PowerPoint. Like, I sit on a bar stool. Like, that's, I don't know what that says about my background, but take it for what it is. That's where I'm most comfortable. I'll just sit there and have a conversation with folks. Like, hey, here's Simon Sinek. I'm sure you've read his books or podcasts. Like, I'm big with start with your why with stuff. Like, so that's kind of what I do. I have like a law firm story. Like, hey, I used to hate estate planning, and then I became a dad. I'm like, oh, this is kind of important. Then my dad just went up and died. I'm like, well, shit. This is kind of what got me thinking about it. And you just kind of go down the road from there. But that's what connects people. Like, people do business with people. Like, that's what
Yeah.
we're talking about, the brand and those adjectives and stuff like that. That's where, you and your wife are the face of your company at this point.
Yeah.
So it's, what was it? Sirhan, that dude in New York has a good book where, I think it's called Brand It Like Sirhan. Have you read that?
No.
Good book. I'll send you a copy. Really good
Awesome.
book. But even how you dress matters. So for me, I've just always like, it's a jacket and shirt, but I have on jeans and cowboy boots.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of my demographic here. Like, yeah, I have a jacket. I'm an attorney, so I don't look like a slob. I'm done wearing suits. Unless I'm in court, I don't wear a suit anymore. I can wear jeans and a jacket to church. Like, that's just kind of my deal. But that's also, you're professional, but you still look kind of casual. Sit on a stool. I'm not behind a desk. I'm not behind a podium. To me, you got to remove that visual thing that's in front of you. So it's much more conversational. And we have great ROI on that stuff.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's what I was mentioning earlier about the Google reviews is that third point there was that I discovered was people were saying that they wanted an attorney who was relatable, down to earth, just like them,
Hmm.
right? The 5-star reviews, that's what the people were saying that the attorney was. The 1-star was saying that they weren't. They were fucking conceited and stuck up and all this. And I just luckily came up with non-stuffy attorneys. Um, and we get so much business from it. It's crazy. So much business. People, they go onto our website. It's non-stuffy attorneys, right? Postcards, it's just non-stuffy attorneys everywhere. And most of us, especially the estate planning, in the estate planning area, they are non-stuffy. They are pretty down to earth, right? These guys. Um, but the public doesn't know that. The public,
The public hears lawyer jokes and they think, or you see these guys on TV with like sledgehammers and
yeah,
blowing up and all that. Like,
yeah. So
yeah,
that's their perception of what an attorney is, right? So that's it in their head. They think of them as stuffy, right? It's very serious and all this shit. Um, so we positioned ourselves against that. It's like, okay, that's what they know. Okay, we're not that. Um, but yeah, man, we get calls all the time. I called you because you're the non-stuffy attorneys. Um, but the public, until they meet you face to face or meet an attorney face to face, that's what they think they are, right? And
yeah.
then they meet them in person. They're like, oh, this guy's cool. Right? I like him. With having the non-stuffy attorney brand, people get that without meeting us,
Yeah, that's
right?
huge. You
Yeah.
change their perception before you've even, yeah,
Yeah.
totally. That's big. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, and it's similar, it's a parallel path. Given that you're in estate planning, people have preconceived notions about that too, or they may know what estate planning is, or they have is that wills or what is that? So I try to just you got to have a little levity and kind of make it lighthearted, where people ask what you do. Like I've started saying, I'm like, oh, I just help y'all be responsible adults. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, like you probably don't have a will, you probably don't have guardian's name for your kids or anything like that, even though you know you should. So that's what we do. Like, and we make it kind of engaging and fun and very smooth, and it's not all doom and dread and death, but like I help you kind of get those documents done. That's what estate planning is. And
I
so just
love
make it kind of disarming
I
initially.
love that. I teach adults how to be responsible. And
Yeah.
then that just
Yeah.
opens the door. It's like, "Oh, fuck, I'm not responsible,"
But
you
then you
know?
gotta make it funny, be like, "Don't worry, most people don't, and it's fine, but that's what I do." Like, let's talk about it. Naturally, they're gonna wanna continue to talk with you about that.
Yep,
So,
that's
again, it's the
great.
same thing, they've got a preconceived notion. How do you get that out of their mind, And it's,
Mhm.
"Hey, let's help you be responsible adults."
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, so, back to the virtual thing, we're gonna start that up some point this year.
Hey, let me know how that goes, if you don't mind. Keep me in the loop on that. I'm really
Course.
interested.
Yeah, because 'cause we'll just feed the leads that come in, right? It's like our intake team is screening them, finding out what their net worth is and all that, and if it's below a certain amount right now, we're just like, "Look, here's our fees. Do you still want a consult?" Most of them are like, "No." But we could start, you know, um, saying, "Hey, our fees are a bit higher, but we have the sister company. It's not as white glove treatment, but they'll do just as good of a job for you. Route them over there. Has its own attorney, own paralegal." Um, yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. Paul's done really well with it. Uh,
How many people are in your MSA, do y'all think?
what's MSA?
Marketable service area. Sorry, man. Just like how many? What's the how many people are you looking to address? Like, and
In
that is
our
the entire state of Florida y'all are going after on that, or
for
pretty
estate
much
planning.
from virtual?
Yeah, so for estate planning, there's about 120,000 in our
Okay.
county
All right.
that fit our demographic. And then probate and Medicaid, we're hitting the whole state. We're not really filtering.
Okay.
We run Google ads for that. It's super hard to do any other type of um, marketing to those because
Yeah.
it's like really instant. Um, and yeah, finding the right person who's gonna be the point person to handle the probate. You don't even know who that is, right? It could be some cousin of the deceased, you know.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
so do y'all handle the Google stuff in house, or do y'all farm that out?
Google Ads.
The search ads and all that local. That's
Yeah,
that's in
good.
house.
No,
Okay.
nope.
Who y'all using, man?
We used Postcard Mania first.
Okay.
Then we used another company. I forget the name of them. We used two more after that. What I noticed with those three companies was that they would get your ads set up and then they would start running and then they'd move on to the next client. Do the same thing for them. 30, 40, 60 days later, right? Give you a report on what your metrics are. That was it. That was all they did.
Forget it. Yeah.
Set it and forget it. I was super frustrated with it. Super, super frustrated. And then met this guy through a mutual friend. His name's Ryan Tanner. He's in the Facebook groups.
Okay. Man, you
He's
might as well write his name down, dude. I mean,
Go for it. Yeah, dude. I'll send you his contact too. You should reach out
okay.
to him. Um, he is super on top of it. He's by himself, right? He just recently hired someone because he's gotten so busy
Okay.
lately. Yeah, mostly from the groups. Um, right. I'm just like constantly throwing his name out there. Uh, but every week I get a report on the ads, right? The different ad groups, and what he's doing to tweak them, like what was successful, what was unsuccessful, right? Did the ad cost go up? Did it
Mhm.
go down? Right? Conversions. He's every single week. I
Everything, and hey, let's A did better. Let's work on A. Now let's come up with a different B. Okay.
yeah, he's like, hey, this one started doing better. I'm not touching. I'm not doing anything differently, right? Um, and he tweaks the landing page. He creates a landing page for the ads, tweaks them, right? He's constantly just trying to get the cost and cost down, conversion up. Um, I started out with a low budget with him, and I was paying him a fixed amount to run him.
Yeah.
And he said at the beginning, he's like, look, and this is standard that guys that run ads, they usually charge a percentage of the ad spend. And he's like, look, my plan is to get you spending enough where you're paying me a percentage of the ad spend. First, we're going to start out with a fixed rate, but eventually we'll switch over to that. You'll start spending more. And I didn't like that at first. I was like, I don't want to
As long
put
as you're
you.
producing, then I mean, that
Well, exactly. I didn't for some reason I didn't have that mindset though. I was like, you're just gonna then you're only gonna want me to spend more money, right? Because then you'll get paid more. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, okay, well, if I'm spending more, it means they're successful and
yeah,
right
you make it more. Yeah.
making more. So it's kind of stupid on my part. But yeah, just recently, Google, I get these. Since we started running ads, I get Google reaches out to me and be like, hey, I'm your account manager. I'd like to talk to you. I'll, help you out, blah, blah, blah. You call it some dude from India who's like, doesn't really, you partly think it's like a scam,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Uh,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. He's like, I'm from Google. I'm like, fuck you. No, you're not. But, but apparently they are. Anyway, so I got an email, I got an email a couple weeks ago from Google, and woman was like, "Hey, I'm your new account manager. Want to see your business grow, and I'd like to have a meeting with you." Blah blah blah. I forward it to Ryan, and he responds back. He's like, "Look, if you want me to meet with him, I can. These are usually, you know,
Spend more. Like,
yeah, it's like we don't. I don't really ever get any. We don't get anything. The tips that they have are shit that I already know." I wrote back, I was like, look, you don't need to meet with him. I was just forwarding it to you because it came to me. I thought you might be interested.
yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I'm going to meet with him. Well, come to come to find out, it was really good that he met with them because we, because of our ad spend, we've been elevated to like uh, higher ups
Oh,
basically in Google.
all right.
He said he had a meeting with four team members. They're up in New York, sitting around a board table. He got the whole pitch from them. Google has this set up with people who spend a certain amount where they'll set a team for them, and there'll be a team of four, and the team of four at most will have 5 accounts. So they're only working.
All right.
Yeah, and
Man.
he said the amount of insights that they have that he's not privy to as a general like
Mhm.
ads manager, he was like, it was incredible. He was like, it was absolutely incredible. He then sent me all this information. He's like, look, you got to get me these metrics, blah blah blah, all these different things. He's like, they want you to increase your ad spend, and but they know that they're only going to do that.
If
You're
they
only going to do that
yeah.
if we're yeah. They're like, look, the goal for them is for you to double your ad spend this year. Um, so we just had a meeting with our our Zoho guy, our developer, and so I'm just getting Ryan all the analytics he needs so he can run them in real time, like what keywords are working the best, because
Mhm.
you can have a keyword that's generating a lot of leads, but they're junk, right? They're not
Yeah.
turning into consults. Um, so yeah, we just had a long meeting this morning about it. I'm super pumped about it. Yeah, it's pretty exciting because we do a lot of Medicaid. Uh, we started doing Medicaid planning in April.
Okay.
Uh, we run Google ads for it, but we get a ton of calls for people who are just looking for like Medicaid for their prescriptions or doctor visits. And it's
Yeah.
like, fuck, dude, like, yeah. And it's a ton of them. It's so many. Um, we're still profitable on it, but it could be so much more optimized. And yeah, so hopefully that'll help out a lot. But I'm really excited about it. But
Cool.
Ryan, yeah, dude, Ryan, I can't rave about him enough. And he's gotten a decent amount of clients from the Facebook group and from me referring them to him. So he's like become an expert in
The
this
same
practice area.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't. The group I've been with probably almost a year now. Actually, I think it's who Paul uses. He'd give me the recommendation. They're fine. I just not seeing the ROI at all. And I think they focus more on attorneys in general. So like even when we were doing like the initial like web page, I'm like, no, no, scrap it. Like this looks like a personal injury page. Like, no, not at all. Like, and then they're sloppy, to be honest with you. They were misspelling names. They had a picture of Austin, Texas. I'm like, I live in Aledo, Texas. Like, the fuck are you doing? Like, pay attention. Just do y'all proof your shit before you send it
Dude,
to me? Is kind of
that
where I'm at.
drives me crazy, that kind of shit.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, let me explain Austin and Aledo. Aledo's rednecks with paychecks. Like, you'll have Range Rovers and $100,000 trucks in everybody's arm. Austin's blue hair and liberal as all hell. Like we're miles apart. Like don't
Yep.
advertise. And then it's just like I care less what people look like. I don't care. I've got
Yeah,
friends
yeah.
across the spectrum, but I'm like,
That's
these
just not
are
your
the
public.
demographics of my county. My ads need to talk to that demographic, and instead they're giving me like the most PC pictures you can imagine, like gay interracial couples. I'm like,
Like, dude,
there
these
might
guys,
be three of them in
like,
my whole fucking county.
no one's gonna call you if you have that.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, if I'm in downtown Dallas, 100%. If I'm in Austin, 100%. But like, can you please make my stuff match my demographic where I've sent you? If I was in downtown Dallas, I'd be like, absolutely, that's my target demographic. Let's market to them. But like, have y'all read the summaries I've sent y'all?
Yeah, see, that's been I've experienced the same. I've experienced the same. And what a lot of these companies, they have a revolving door of staff,
Yes, that's
you
the other
know?
big beef I've got. Like every other month, it's like, oh, we're passing you to this person, passing you to that person. It's like I've got to re-educate you dipshits
Right.
each time. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, so,
I shouldn't
man,
call them bitches. I mean, I'm trying,
no, dude, I
trying to be nicer, but like, it's not their fault. It's just the world they live in. But like, to me, how many times have I had this exact same conversation? And
right.
it's poor customer experience on my part. Again, run your
Yeah.
business like your business.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is poor. Yeah, they need to be better with their notes and reading the file and all that
Yeah,
stuff. But yeah, man, when I'm in these groups and people are ask about marketers and stuff, always give Ryan's name, but then I always say like find someone if you don't use him, find someone else that's by themselves, right? That's hungry to
yeah.
service you, right? And because yeah, if they're doing shit like that, right? A lot of the attorneys aren't they're not going to be as aware as you are, right? You got a lot of business acumen. Fucking dog. Um,
Looks like you got two out there.
I
Actually,
got two of them, man. One doesn't make a peep, and then the other one won't shut up. Uh, I got this guy up in the first one I got was super awesome. I trained him really, really well. Then we moved to Florida. COVID happened. We looked for another golden. There was one up near Atlanta. Talked to the woman. I said, "Look, I can't have a barker. We want to bring him to the office." She's like, "Oh, cool. I got two left. One of them uh, just started barking all the time, and the other one doesn't make a sound." I said, "Okay, cool. Give me that one." Show up. It's COVID. It's like a farm that they have. They bring it out to my car, put it in the crate, start driving. Get about 2 hours away, and the fucking thing just starts barking like crazy. I was like, she gave me the wrong dog.
uh,
So here we have
here
him.
you are. All right, man.
Here we are. Yeah. So now we got to deal with his dumbass. He barks at fucking everything, everything.
We've got two
Um,
dogs at the house too. One's an English Mastiff. He's actually the third English Mastiff we've had. Just big. I
yeah,
mean, when he does bark, he'll get your attention, but laid back, just happy go lucky. Then we have a rescue dog that similar. It was like, okay, this she's supposed to be half Mastiff, half Anatolian Shepherd. Found out on like a Mastiff rescue page or something. I picked her up, brought her home, and it was from like somewhere on the Oklahoma Arkansas border, middle of nowhere. Brings her home, real pretty markings and stuff, and then as time's going on, I'm like, It's just you can do genetics on a dog now. I'm like,
Yeah.
let's do that. She's about 20% Mastiff and 18 other breeds, none of which is Anatolian Shepherd. I was just like, but say extremely, I will say extremely flippin' smart, but barks at fucking anything. Like
Drives me the
neighbor can
barking.
walk down the road, we're barking.
Yeah.
Car's too loud, barks. Like just
The barking drives me crazy.
uh,
Crazy. Yeah. I was like, oh, perfect. I'm gonna have two quiet dogs. Nope. Nope. The first one, man, he's an angel. He's like super polite, like, won't jump on the bed until I tell him it's okay to, right?
yeah.
Just yeah, sits down for me to pet him. Yeah, the other guy's a wild man. But yeah, anyway, like most attorneys, because they don't have the business sense, like say you or I, they're they're not going to be uh super aware of what to look for in Google Ads, right? Or landing pages, so to speak. And yeah, they can just get screwed pretty easily. And then they think, oh, it doesn't work, right? This look,
I have a pretty set rule with, and I learned this the hard way. If a company comes to me, odds are they need me. One, they need me more than I need them. But I call them leeches. I don't mean it to be derogatory, but there's so many leeches out there on small businesses, not just law firms, where they take advantage and they just leech money out of businesses. And most of these poor small business owners it's probably their first venture into business. They have no idea that that's what's happening. You
yeah,
know, um, so something I'm a big fan of. I'm like, your payment is tied to my success. Like, are you willing to, and if you're not willing to at least, they won't all sign on to it. But if you're not at least willing to entertain that idea, why would I work with you?
yeah,
You're going to get paid whether I make money or not. Okay. And then you would want me to continue to pay you whether I'm making money or not. Why should I work with you? Oh, we're good. We're one of the best. Okay. Put your money where your mouth is at and show me. First 3 months, right? I'll give you the
yeah,
first 3 months because other things got to ramp up. After 3 months, we're going to swap. And if I'm not making money, you're not making money.
yep,
If you don't have enough confidence to at least entertain that idea, you're not that good.
yeah, yeah. Good
So not
point.
the hard ass, but I'm spending money. You're asking me to spend money, and I've already told you I will spend whatever amount of money as long as you're giving me a five or X higher or higher, right? I'll spend 1,000. I'll spend 10,000. I'll spend 100,000 a month if you're going to tell me it's going to be a 5 or a 10X, and you can show it. So here's 3 months. We're going to start low. I'll spend as much as you tell me I need to, but after 3 months, you know, rubber hits the road. Where are we at?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I couldn't agree more. Um, how are you? How's your pricing? Are you more expensive, less expensive, middle?
I usually tell people, and this is what I tell clients, I'm like, look, if you're looking for the cheapest, that's not me.
Yep.
I'm not the most expensive. There are people that'll charge 10,000, 12,000 for a basic trust plan. And some of them are flipping like financial advisors, not even attorneys. It
Wow.
just drives me crazy. So I'm like, look, you know, usually, I mean, when I said kind of my process, I don't send people homework ahead of time. I get the basic stuff, but you can send them stuff, try to get, names for POA or medical POA. They don't know what the hell those things are anyway, and they're redoing it. I get the basics, kind of feel for them. Are we dealing with, and I have clients across the board. I have clients that, are actually kind of lower household income, but they're like, no, we want to trust because we want the control for our kids. I'm like, okay. I've got kind of my ideal client, and I've got clients that, are well north of 30 million. I don't really advertise that, but some of those come in. And I mean, at that point, obviously, I'm bringing in other professionals. I'm just a clog in the wheel. But usually I have the conversation with clients. I'm like, okay, look, I'll ballpark it for you, like based upon kind of our initial meeting. But, if you're going to want some contingent kid trust or you're going to want lifetime asset protection trust, all those are, going to be extra. And okay, am I doing the deed for the house? Do you have other properties I'm doing a deed for? Some of these people have, had a meeting the other day where the guy's like, "Well, I've got a company, but now I've also started to buy a bunch of rent houses. I just film them outright." I'm like, "Okay, well, maybe we actually need to set up an LLC for those, and you actually run that as a separate company." So I don't really ever have two that are the same, but that's kind of how I point it. I'm just like, "Hey, look, we'll bracket it after the first meeting, where I've kind of got an idea, and then next meeting, we're really going to get into the weeds. Like, what do you think you really need? Are we doing like ages and stages for the kids?" or your kids are a little older. One needs a lifetime asset protection trust, the other can inherit outright. What are we looking at? Um, but I'm upper middle, I guess. Like I said, I've looking through, at the end of the third quarter, I started to look through, okay, ideal clients, not ideal clients, how much time am I spending? And really, the ideal clients I meet for the first time in person, usually when we're signing the documents.
Mm.
So, like, I alternate Saturday mornings and Thursday nights meetings just because I know, like, no one really wants to take a vacation day to meet with their lawyer. And if you got kids, you got sports, you got practices, stuff like that. And most people are a little bit more comfortable having these conversations, quite frankly, at their dinner table. Like, they set up the laptop, they're in the kitchen, they're kind of in some comfy clothes, and we're just having a conversation. So those are my ideal clients. I'm like, hey, look, you're looking for a trust plan, probably between $5,000 and $7,000, somewhere in there. And I can send it to you. I created kind of I usually approach it pretty directly. I'm like, hey, can I share my pricing with you? I share the screen and we've got three columns. One's here's the will based one. I think our minimum for wills are $2,700, $2,800 this year. We got the trust. I'm like, kind of between 7,500, I think 5,500, 7,500 is where trusts usually fall once you have the deeds in there. And then I'm like, or kind of here's the plan that's 10,000 plus. Where we're doing the funding, we're doing a few extra things, multiple deeds, that kind of deal. I'm like, here you go. Like, I don't do the hourly stuff, and just kind of very upfront with it, and just I'm sure as like there's all that psychological stuff behind it. Give people three choices. They usually go for the middle. Some people, 10% will always go for the high though, which is interesting,
Yeah.
simply because it's there. Um, Man, what is his name? Dude with a big beard. He's on YouTube, and I need to try this. Uh, he Kowalski or something like that. Good entrepreneur. I'll find his name. I'll email it to you. Really interesting thing. He played around with this, like how high could he go? And he did a 10x for just that one that was outrageous. People would buy that platform from him simply because it
Because they,
was the most expensive. And
yeah,
he's it makes no sense. I'm spending maybe 2% more time, but I'm making 10 times as much. He's like, you will be shocked, regardless of what industry you're in, where I want that one. It's the
yep,
best.
it's the best.
So
You know,
I need to raise that 10,000 one up, I think. It's
yeah,
just sure, if someone wants to pay me 20 grand, yeah, no problem. I'll hire Trust 8. We're gonna fund your trust. Good, you're done. Like, I'm
yeah.
outsourcing it for 2 grand, and I'm gonna make an extra, 8 grand. No problem. So
Who do you outsource it to?
I think Trust 8 is one that will do it.
Trust what?
Trust 8, I think, is one.
Trust
I
state?
haven't done it.
Okay.
Trust 8 can. Trust Point, I think, is another. Man, I'll have to pull up my notes. Trust Point's
Yeah, no,
another one. Again, that's just something I've considered doing maybe towards like third quarter this year. Is if people are really just going to pick this high end plan, why not just keep raising it up? But my view is I want to lose at least 10% of business. If I don't have 10% of business saying no for my pricing, I'm too low.
totally.
In each year, I want to cut my bottom 10% because that leaves you 10% on the top and continue to grow that way. So in 10 years, your worst client was your best client 10 years before.
Yeah. So your viewpoint is that you should close 90% of the sales?
When most of my come in from referrals, so they are kind of my ideal client. So
Yeah.
yes, I think I should be closing probably about 90%. Um, I will say the ones that Google searches, stuff like that, and I'm happier at 50 because I do get those phone calls. I get some crazy ass phone calls, like I'm sure y'all do. It's like the Jerry Springer show stuff. I don't really count those truly. Like, it wasn't a real lead. Yes, it was a lead, but it was an ideal client. Like, to me, that's a two-way street. You're
Yeah.
interviewing me, I'm interviewing you. Out of my ideal clients, I should close 90%.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we look at. We look at clients or prospects who actually had consults, and they don't get to that stage
Yeah.
without being vetted by our intake team. So it's very like, yeah, we got a pretty in-depth questionnaire that they go over with them on the phone, and they're digging into assets and yeah, dude, we're not happy if they book a consult that's not qualified. People aren't happy around here. It's like I just wasted 45 minutes. Like, what the fuck? Um,
I try to weed that out on the phone part too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, do you do probate or no?
I don't. I've looked into. So I say I don't. I have some like 1031 trusts down here where, if you have, usually it comes up in my world anywhere, where you got like parents that were divorced, dad dies intestate, and you have minor kids out there. He had some land or he had some property or something. What like kid's 14, he can't inherit outright. So in Texas 1031 trust, you set it up. It's held in trust through the court system. Usually, surviving mom can kind of be the basically the trustee of it, but it's overseen by the courts until he turns 25 or he or she turns 25. So in that area a little bit, but and just with me, I've noticed I like the planning side better and avoiding probate. And quite frankly, I look at, okay, it's 20-minute drive to the courthouse, 20-minute drive back. I could have a client meeting, that's a trust meeting in 40 minutes. I've made X amount of money off of that, and I didn't have to drive,
What do you got to go to the courthouse for though?
for the hearing.
For probate?
Yep, here we do.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Ugh, screw
And
that.
I've got a buddy that practices up over in Orlando. Um, y'all's probate laws are much better. Like y'all can do completely virtual signing of wills and stuff like that. We can't. Got to be
Yeah,
absolutely everything's in person. Notary's got to be there. Witnesses there in person. So we're a little more on the antiquated side with some of the will stuff, which is again why I've told people I'm like, look, the law on wills really hasn't changed much in decades and decades. It's always been the same. But trusts are so much more flexible. You know what I mean?
yeah.
You kind of play in the, especially if minor kids. Like, how about you, man? But if I would have inherited a bunch of money at 18, man, I would have gone to Vegas and I probably have nothing to show for it but an STD, dude. Like that's how that
Right.
would have gone, man. So just
I didn't even have to inherit any money, and I ended up with that.
I cut that part of the video, man. Sorry. So no, man, I mean that's just kind of been my thought with it. Like, especially talking with parents, like just man, walk through the stuff with parents. It goes back to that responsibility thing I usually start with when I'm strapped. Like, look,
Yeah,
your responsibility as a parent to take care of your kids. Like we all know that you love your kids. That's what you want. Like, let me just help you do that. Like, and when you actually talk with most people, they're like, oh yeah, I've got like a 401k, I've got life insurance, I've got a 529 plan, I've got all the stuff set up. I'm like, do you at least have a will? Like, oh no. I'm like, so dude, you got this stuff down here. You're missing the part that goes over it though. Like, let's just get that done. So at least
yeah,
the area I'm in, like, there's a big theme of responsibility. Like, people down here are responsible. It's kind of like the cowboy culture, so to speak. I would say we have out here, where, like, yeah, you do the right thing. Like, you do what's responsible. Like, people, you'll drive down the road. There's a funeral. People pull to the side of the road and stop. Like, doesn't matter what's going on, kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. I love
Actually,
that.
our town's small. We don't have a police department. Um,
Wow, I love
we have a
that too.
sheriff's department, but like, man, there's no crime out here. And fuck, man, everyone's got like their own arsenal. So like,
Yeah, right.
don't don't need a police department. Like,
What's your plan for the firm? Like long term, what's the idea?
man, the idea, I still struggle with that a little bit. Like, I don't want to grow for the sake of growing, but I kind of can't help myself at a certain point. Like, I enjoy that. Like, I enjoy the challenge. I enjoy growing businesses, and I just see this as another business. To be quite honest with you,
Yeah,
I like meeting with people. I'm not a huge extrovert, but I like meeting with people. I like actually making a difference in people's lives. Um, do I like the drafting crap? Probably not, man. I'm more on the sales side.
yeah,
So I source the drafting stuff. Definitely have the knowledge, and I can go through and I do. I review each plan. But no, man, I would like to see us grow, but not grow for the sake of growing. And I think we actually kind of will naturally, just given how much growth we're seeing in the town I'm in. So I want to be like the preeminent estate planning attorney for like everything west of Fort Worth. Like, I want to be the name people think of and come to.
yeah,
I've also, I don't really advertise so much. I do handle one, maybe two clients a year with business exits and kind of almost business brokerage. Um, Again, man, having sold to like a private equity backed buyer, like I went through the bending over of like financials and what it takes to actually get your business ready to sell. And a buddy of mine told me, he's like, dude, you kind of need to be doing this. Like, you're a lawyer, you already know the contract stuff like that, but like you understand it from the business owner standpoint too, like what an exit is and what it means. And you'll get those phone calls like, I'm thinking of selling my business this year. I'm like, that's ambitious. Like, what do you mean? It's the end of January. I'm like, here's everything you need to do. Like, where are your books at? Are you replaceable? Where, have you
Yeah.
done succession planning? Like, if you want to get the biggest multiple for your business, you need to position your business so it can easily plug in to another company. So some of that, I mean, business brokers charge 10%. So kind of easy math to see where that can easily money out on that. So I kind of like to begin to grow that portion of it more. But
Uh,
it's extremely time intensive. There's a lot of hand holding, a lot of emotions involved. Usually these are family businesses, been around for 20, 30
yeah.
plus years. Um, and there's a lot where I just have conversations. I'm like, okay, kind of like I used, can you go away for a month? No phone, no email. Will your company run? Like, probably not. Like, if there's a supply chain issue, okay, 3 or 4 other people, they're just in your mind, or okay, I've got it written down on this piece of paper here where we can get this in a pinch. No one else knows that. Like, you have the curse of knowledge, I call it, where you take so much for granted. I'm like, so teach me how to run your business. I know nothing about conveyor belts, or I know nothing about how the machines that seal dog food bags, or just all these random kind of companies. I'm like, walk me through it. How long would it take me to run your company? They're like, oh, yeah, that's a long time. I'm like, well, that's what we're going to do. So yeah, that's kind of an area I'd like to see grow, because you ever met business brokers, dude?
Hmm?
You've ever met any business brokers before?
I don't know.
You,
Maybe
you
on the
got some that are
phone.
mid market, like the ones that do like 50, $200 million business. I got a friend that's in that area, much different. But on the lower end that are selling the mom and pops, at least my experience, a lot of them, a lot of gold jewelry, a lot of like flashy glasses, like think cheesy used car salesmen. And none of them actually owned a business or run a business. They're kind of leeches, man. Like, they're just taking
Yeah. Yeah.
10%, and all they're doing is throwing it on biz buy sell, and with quick little summary. And I'm like, well, you're gonna get a 2x. Like, if that you're cool with it, great. But why don't we shoot for a 10x or something like that?
Yeah.
You got to be replaceable. You got to bring value to whatever you're gonna be. Quite frankly, you need to start a business, with the exit in mind and work backwards.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
we're going off on a tangent, not estate plan related at all, but
Ah, dude, I don't give a shit. I just want to talk. Um, well, but I have another interview I got to do with somebody. We're trying to get another salesperson. Yeah, I interviewed this girl this morning. She's not an attorney, but super impressed. She's working as a non-attorney salesperson for another firm right now. The number she portrayed to me was pretty good. Really good. Super impressed with her communication. I've been interviewing people for like the last 2 weeks, and a couple people I liked. Haven't been blown away, but this girl I really liked a lot. But I have another interview with someone in 5 minutes, so I better
all
jump
right, bro.
off.
Yeah,
But
all good, man. Hey,
yeah,
enjoy
it's
your time. It was good getting to know you, man.
same dude, same. Let's talk again sometime. Love to
Absolutely,
hear.
man. Yeah. Let me know. I'm
All
I'm
right,
available. But yeah, if you don't mind, let me know how that the virtual stuff goes.
I
Be really
will.
interested in that,
I'll
man.
keep you posted for
Yeah,
sure.
you too. Awesome, brother. All right,
All right,
have a good one, man.
Jeremy.
All right.
See ya.